Good afternoon, ma'am. Thank you for giving your precious time to us for the nv series. It's an honor to have you here.
Good afternoon, ma'am. So, the young generation today has need for money management skills and articulating what it is that we really want from our money. If you have the right financial plan in place to embrace the future ahead, perhaps it's not too late to rebuild or build. With this, I would like to introduce Ms. Shweta Jain, the founder of InvestoGraphy Private Limited. Ms. Shweta is a certified financial planner with over 15 years of experience across financial planning, research, and client servicing. She is also the author of My Conversation with Money, out in January 2019. With a passion for financial literacy, she has delivered over 1,000 financial awareness programs for over 35,000 individual companies like Google, HP, JP Morgan, and Visa, and has also conducted sessions on behalf of Securities and Exchange Board of India. She is a frequent contributor on money control and a regular face on television such as Zee Business. So with this, I would like to ask you the first question. What are the common mistakes according to you that young people make while investing?
Thanks, Ria. So I think one of the mistakes that people, when they're starting off doing, is that they want to accumulate a lot of money and then start investing. So they want to, they don't really think about starting small. I think what they should be doing instead is start with whatever they have, and it's never too early to start. Do you invest already?
No, ma'am, I have not started yet, but yeah,
Yes.
I am hoping to start.
So see, that's the thing, right? Anybody can invest today. So can you. And in fact, my investing journey, I wouldn't start the interview with that part of the thing, because I made a lot of mistakes when I started. But because you spoke about mistakes, I wanted to highlight that everybody makes mistakes, and it's good to make mistakes in the beginning of your journey, right? Because then you're paying off those mistakes with small amounts. I'll give you an example. Like when we started investing, I was in, I think, first year BBM, and we would all friends would join together and buy stocks and shares, and we would buy some and sell immediately, or we would just trade. We would keep some for a few days, some for a few months, but just trade, and we discuss those. So that's how you can start, and you can do that in your college as well. So you can start, and today it's actually much easier than how we started off. We physically had to go to a broker. We had to open in sometimes in our parents' names, and then beg them to let us trade and things like that. But today you have such easy options, so you can start off small. I would say even something like 1,000 rupees one time, not even like an SIP or anything. Start off that journey, because with that 1,000 rupees you'll see that you will research, you will be invested, not just financially, but be doing enough research. And I think that becomes your course fee. So think of it as your course fee. So even if you end up losing this 1,000 rupees, it's fine. You've learned. So note down your lessons. The other mistake I think people do as investors, any age group, is we don't make a note of the mistakes that we've made, right? Saying, okay, I booked my loss too early, or I got out too early, or I got a little bit too scared, or I panicked at the wrong time. So we don't note these things, right? So when we talk about journaling mistakes, journaling investing mistakes also helps quite a bit. So I think these two mistakes, if young people like you learn from us today, I think that's a great start to the interview.
I'll be taking your advice, ma'am, doing the same. Moving on to the next question. Money matters may be offered for many. Why would you deem conversations about money is important?
Conversations about money with family, with your special ones, with children, it's really, really important, because this helps you give clarity to what you aspire together or as an individual, what kind of journey you would want to have, how encouraging your partner will be. I know lots of spouses who hide their credit card outstanding from each other, their loans from each other, because they want to give a good picture to the spouse or to the family, but inside it's really like a bad situation, and they end up paying for those mistakes big time. It sometimes goes to the verge when they've ended their lives over something like this. So I would say talk to your family about money, because it helps give you guys a common ground at what to discuss, what you want from your life. Because see, money is not just money, right? It's the way you live, what your dreams can come, right? If I give my son an illusion that he can study in Harvard and I'm going to fund his complete education, but I have a loan of 50 lakhs, forget even having 2 rupees to my name, then that's and when it's time for him to go and I tell him I can't really fund it, so then where does it leave him? So as a family, it really becomes important that you discuss money, because that's the quality of life that they can expect. And if there's something that you need to do together as a family, because I know there are times when each of us struggle financially as well, right? Whether it's in the beginning of your careers or whether it's the time when you're buying a new asset, whatever it is. So for example, for us, it was at the time we bought our home, right? So we, as a family, decided for 2 years we will not have vacations, which is really expensive. So we would go to nearby places, but not spend too much, like budget vacation. So those 2 years we struggled a little bit. I won't say too much, but a little bit. And that helped us make sure that the house was what we wanted. And, the quality of life is what we wanted. So I think as a family, you need to pull together. And that'll only happen if you have conversations with money.
Thank you so much for your valuable comments, ma'am. So we will move on to the next question. What would your advice be for someone who's just started out investing?
So I think somebody who's just started out investing, stay the course. Don't be bogged down by all the information and the noise out there. Do your research, stick to your decisions, start small. So keep at it. You will see how it grows over time. And I don't mean 1 or 2 years. Give it 5 years, give it 7 years. And then you will see the difference that your little savings has helped you make. So stay the course. I think a lot of people get scared and exit on the first or second step. The light is there at the end of the tunnel. So walk through the tunnel.
I myself have started the SIPs. I was literally forced by my dad, like, you should start investing now. It's high time you have just reached the right age to start investing. So, yeah, thank you for that advice. Moving on to the next question. Would you say income level matters while investing?
Income matters level always. But while investing, I think what matters more than income level is savings. Because I have seen people who earn in lakhs but hardly save anything in a month. And I've seen people who say, earn like 50, 60,000 and save pretty much the entire thing other than their basic necessities. So could be like 40,000. So they live frugally and save more money. And in the next 1 or 2 years, I've seen them much better off than the ones who earned even lakhs. So no, savings matter more. Your habits matter much more than your income. And that's something that people just don't understand. Everybody is aspiring to, get these high paying jobs. But nobody is then thinking about, how much am I saving and where am I investing? The other most underrated thing is, I think, where they're investing. People are usually just looking at FDs or NSEs. I have a discussion yesterday about NSEs, and she was shocked when I said, you shouldn't invest in NSEs. So it's where you invest as well. So something which is long term can be equity without any hesitation, but for short term, come to equity. So I see people coming the other way. I see people who are in for short term coming to equity saying, I'm going to make money quickly. So that's not equity. If you want to make money quickly, or you should go to the casino, but not equity. I think you're doing a disservice to the asset class. So yeah, I think that's something that you should be looking at when you're looking at savings, and not just, how much you're earning. What you do with your money is much, much more important than how much you earn.
That was really helpful, ma'am. I'm sure that our viewers will note that down and learn from that. So moving on to the next question now. Would you say individuals need to be formally trained for portfolio management, or is it something that you learn as you invest?
They should definitely do, and there are lots of courses available today to learn how to manage their portfolio. Not just the science part of it, but the art part of it, also managing emotions as well. So I would definitely, even if you're just investing for yourself, sure that you're doing these courses. NSIM has courses, NISM has these courses, lots of courses available. Do your research on what's good and what's going to help you, and make sure that you're doing the right thing for your money as well. Because if I tell you I've read a few articles and I'm going to operate on you, will you allow me? No, right? So when I tell you if I've read a few articles and now I'm ready to invest your money, you're not going to allow me either. So it's always, so why would you do that yourself, right? Reading 4 articles is not going to help you. So better to learn and then do it, even if it's for your own money, because I wouldn't want you to operate on yourself just by reading a few articles. So yeah, do your courses, and then definitely that's something that you can manage.
Can you suggest any courses for us?
So NISM has a couple of courses that you can do. CFP is something that people who are really, really interested. I know of people who are not professional fund managers or financial planners, but do CFP to understand money better. So CFP is a great course. That's something that you can do. We are going to launch a course in the next couple of months. That's something that you can look forward to as well. So that's NISM you can definitely do, which is already available today.
Okay, thank you, ma'am, for that. Moving on to the next question. When would you say a person must start educating themselves about money management?
Oh, money management. So I started teaching managing money to my son when he was, I think, just maybe 3 or 4 years old. He has a book that was published by CNBC when he was 9. So yeah, so I'm the wrong person to ask when should one start. One should start as early as possible. Having said that, even 50s is not a late start. There's a kahawat in Hindi, jab jago tab savera. So you realize when you realize that there is a need, start learning then. But there's no age that is too early. I think we cut our children not a lot of slack, saying they're too small. That's something that we should be teaching children, because it's a life skill. I think along with something like a swimming, managing money should definitely be taught at that age. So yeah.
I have a following question to that. Like, it's a bit personal. So, how would you advise like student like us to be like managing money right now? We are.
I think you guys already are handling money, which is good. So you should start with something basic like budgeting. So make sure that your expenses are in order. Make sure that that's on the right track. Your needs versus wants, that's something that you should definitely do, because not everything is a need. I understand you're away from home, but there are some wants that will be happening. You'll be going out for a cup of coffee, which costs 500 rupees instead of the 20 rupees coffee in the cafeteria, right? But of course, so as long as you're aware, that's fine. And as long as you budgeted and you're not feeling guilty about it, that's absolutely fine. Second thing that you should definitely do is start investing. So even if it's, like I said, 1,000 rupees, start investing, because these lessons are going to take you a long way. I keep telling my son, he runs a library at home with the resources that he has. So these are things that you can do, generate an income from what resources you have today, whether it's your time. Say you have a lot of time, for example, then do something with your time that makes money for you. Or you have resources, like my son has a lot of books, right? So he's using that and not a lot of time. So we made sure that that's how it works. So figure out if you can generate an alternate source of revenue that fits you. And it's the amount doesn't matter. Don't get stuck on the amount. I think a lot of people think about saying, oh, it's just 500 rupees, so I'm not going to start. Or if it's just 5,000 rupees, I'm not going to do this. Doesn't matter. Amount doesn't matter really. You start off generating an income and you'll see it grow. You'll see how it's giving you lots of other lessons in life, right? So managing money, managing customers, managing inventory, whatever. So all of these are then life skills that you're developing along the way. So my second thing would be, so generate income from whatever resources that you have. whether it's a hobby, whether somebody's doing crochet, knitting, whatever, figure out something and generate an income stream. Third is, of course, investing. Start small. So you are investing, you're learning. If you make money along the way, super. You have more money to spend. But if you don't, you've actually learned something and that hasn't worked for you. So that will uh, pay it for you going forward. So I think these are three things that you can definitely do.
Parents have this notion that our children are always small, like they are too young or like it's too soon for them to start investing and all. So, what would your suggestion be to people who have such a mindset?
No, I think they're right, because these are the people who are not letting children enter the kitchen, not giving them responsibilities. I would always tell my son, get me a glass of water, help me wash things, give me onions when I was cooking, do whatever, whatever little thing he could do when he was 2, 3, help me fold clothes. So all of this helps them. So I would say give your children a little more responsibility and they will surprise you. Start off with as simple as, like, I have a 2-year-old now, so he loves putting money in the piggy bank. He loves putting coins in the piggy bank. So that's something that we're teaching him, that money is precious. You don't just throw it around. You gather it and you collect it and you keep it. You value it. You keep it properly. So that's something that you start off. And age appropriate lessons, definitely, always. Don't overwhelm your children with your burdens. Try and teach them values rather than saying, my income is this, my expense is this. That's not what children need to know. What children need to know is, are you budgeting? So whether it's grocery shopping, for example, take a list and make sure you stick to the list. Right? So then children are learning this behavior from you. Otherwise, if you're going to indulge into everything, they're going to learn the same behavior, and those are the values they will learn. So even as parents, let me tell you, we behave better when we are accountable to children, right? So when my child is watching me, I'd rather take an apple than a packet of chips. When he's napping, I'm going to eat those chips, right? So we want to set better examples. So age appropriately, make sure you are setting the right examples and teaching the right values.
Talking about investment, budgeting, and students of our age, do you think that trading apps can help students to learn about investing in any way?
I'm not sure if it'll help you learn how to invest, but trading is definitely a good start, because you're going to buy something, you're going to sell something, you're going to understand the nitty-gritties, you're going to read about the companies. So depending on how much you're invested, right? I would say if you're doing trading apps, stick to your budget and don't make this like a gambling thing, saying, yesterday I doubled my money, so today I'm going to put all of it and double it again. That's how you burn your fingers, right? So make sure that, yeah, it's a great start. To answer your question, it's a good start because it helps give you that exposure into the world of finance. But don't get lost into that, and don't mistake that for investing. If that's trading, I mean, you should clearly define what it means to you, clearly define the amount you're willing to risk. So then you're good.
Thank you for your helpful comments, ma'am. Moving on to the next question. So, if someone is starting the investment late in life, what would you suggest is the immediate financial planning they must do?
So, irrespective of whenever somebody's starting, I think the first thing that they should be doing is take account of what they have, what they want. So, where do they need to go? What are their goals? What are the cash flow, their income expenses? So, these 5 categories of information, if they're going to put, I think it'll help them a lot. Their income, expenses, assets, liabilities, and goals. These 5 things, if you have like 5 files or file whatever, right? So you are then sorted, because according to your goals, you're then going to manage your assets, your cash flow, you're going to manage your expenses according to your income. You're going to then put all of these together and create, even if it's a crude sort of a financial plan, saying, okay, I need money after 5 years for this purpose. Are my assets going to give me this, or do I need to take more liabilities, right? So these things will help you. So these 5 things, if you have sorted, I think that's a great start.
What would you say that in order to save, we must compromise on our spending now?
So I'm not a fan of compromise. So I want to balance both today and tomorrow, right? I'm not a parents type who would say, we'll compromise today and we'll adjust today, or kal will be bright and sunny, and we have so I'm not of that mentality actually. I like to enjoy today. I like to indulge today. I like to go for vacations today, rather than everything for 15 साल बाद 20 साल बाद बुढ़े होने के बाद retire होने के बाद. I'm not a fan of that philosophy. So what I try and do is balance between today and tomorrow. So for example, like a ratio that might help people, right? So if my income is say 100 rupees, say 50 usually goes on needs, 20 is something that I budget for wants, and 30 is what I do towards savings, right? So that 20, which is my indulgence, is then added through the months, because it's every month. Every month you don't need to indulge, because then that itself becomes your need, right? Because your lifestyle keeps increasing, your expenses keep increasing. So make sure that you know what is your need, your basic, and what is your sort of budget for indulgences, right? Because if you can't indulge, then what are you working so hard for? If I can't even go for that cup of coffee to Starbucks because I'm only on a tight budget, then I'm always going to deprive myself, right? So it's like being on a financial diet. So I'm not a fan of that, because diets don't work really. Long-term solution, if you want, you need to have a good sort of a balanced diet. When I said diet don't work, I mean a crash diet won't work, right? So that way, balance your today and tomorrow, because we are the YOLO generation, right? You only live once. So balance it. So you don't have to buy every pair of shoes that you take. So I have certain hacks. In fact, I've written articles about it also, on how I manage my splurging, right? So not that I will not buy expensive bags or expensive shoes or expensive toys for my kids, but stick to the budget that you've set for yourself. And if you're overshooting that budget, don't feel guilty about it. Make sure that it's covered in the next month's sort of spending, right? So by adjusting, so the only way this can happen is making sure you're on tight control with your expenses. That's the only way this can happen. So if you're accounting and accountable, because if you're feeling guilty, you're not going to be accountable, right? You're always going to like tear it off and throw it under the carpet types, saying, okay, I don't want to deal with this because I feel guilty now. Account for it and make sure that if you made any mistakes, and all of us do, right? You learn from those and move on. That's why I said, some of these things you learn from your mistakes. So that's like your course fee. I paid today as well. So yeah, I would recommend.
There is a common misconception that students must take commerce in order to learn investment or to get into trading. So, do you agree with this?
Not necessarily. Although commerce does give you a great background, but not necessarily. See, because when we are doing research with companies, there are lots of things other than the balance sheet as well, right? And even if it's a science student, if it's an art student, I mean, whoever, right? Whatever is your specialization, even if it's marketing, after a point, you can read balance sheets as well. You can read cash flow statements as well, but you need to put in an extra effort. So commerce students it may come easier because they do have that background, but it's not like the others can't, because there's enough other information that comes. For example, a company that makes microchips, right? An engineer may be able to understand the workings of the company better rather than a finance person who may only see balance sheets. Because let me also tell you, in India, accounting is a little tricky. So there's something called good clean accounting as well. So if an engineer is reviewing this, for example, he may see that, okay, the sales numbers don't match because the price is this much and the quantity, they're saying this is the price, but I know what the price is. So things like that, your other specializations could come handy as well. So irrespective of your specialization, I think if you can manage your money if you put in effort and time.
Okay, ma'am, that was really insightful. This will be an end of our first segment, and we are moving on to our next segment, which I feel you'll be finding really interesting. It is the rapid fire question. So
Okay.
I believe your answers will be rapid and full of fire.
I hope so, and I hope there's a hamper for me to win as well then.
Hopefully, ma'am, we'll get it to you. So here's our first question. Your favorite quote?
My favorite quote,
Yes.
it's by Warren Buffett. Of course, it has to be, right? So it's if you don't, don't spend what's left after saving. Save what's don't save what's left after spending. Spend what's left after saving.
Really nice. Your favorite book?
My favorite book. Okay, that's a tricky one. Am I allowed to talk about children's books or only finance book?
Any book would do, ma'am.
Anything.
Oh, any book. So there's a book by Dr. Seuss. So I really like that book. It's the foot book, I think. It talks about how you have feet in your shoes and brain in your head, and you should go in any direction.
Your inspiration?
I would say one person. Okay, if I would take a woman, then I would say Radhika Gupta of Edelweiss. I think she's really inspiring, and around her, I'm usually like a fangirl. So I'm going to just go with her name here.
Okay. Next is best advice you have ever got.
Best advice that I've got is to quit my job and start my own business.
That's the best advice. Last movie you have watched?
Oh, we just watched Avatar.
Looking forward to it. One good habit everyone should have.
I think one good habit everyone should have is journaling. And I just don't mean expenses. I think in life, whether it's your emotions, whether it's gratitude, I think journaling is a great way to, sort of just uh, burst your stress. So I think
Uh, this is my favorite question. Best mischief you have ever done.
you think I'm going to share that and get into trouble?
We'll keep it confidential.
I think I create mischief with my kids all the time. I think that's something that I can share. So yeah, I have two sons. One is 12 and one is 2. So we get into all kinds of trouble with each other.
Really nice. And the final question is any last message to our viewers?
As a message, I think just be confident about yourself, what you want to do in life, and your money will follow. When people talk about manifestation, I think that's something that you can and you should be doing. That focus on where you want your money to go, and it will follow you. Usually we're just so busy chasing money and not managing it well that we don't rest. For example, right, we have cupboards full of clothes and nothing to wear, right? So that just goes to say we've spent so much money but not valued it, right? So I would say value your money before buying anything. Think about it 10 times, see how it will add value to your life. Don't just spend money for the sake of feeling good in the moment, because I see a lot of people doing that today, that we spend money just to feel good in that one moment. And then we end up feeling guilty that we wasted that money. So don't think about this one moment. Think about how it can create and add value to your life. I think this long-term thinking is what a lot of people are missing today, because we want to feel good here and now. I think that's something that we should change.
That would be end of our rapid fire round, and without a doubt, and with full majority, you have won the hamper from our side.
Thank you, thank you, thank you.
That would be end of our interaction, ma'am, with you. It was lovely talking to you, ma'am. On behalf of Team Nv-Ratna, I would love to thank you again for your precious time for this interview. And we hope your answers will help the youth for cracking the code in financial management.
Thank you for having me. It was great to be here.